everybody.
Hi, everybody.
It is March.
March it is. We are marching onward into this 2025 year. What a year.
What a year.
Mm-mm.
What a year. And right now we are in Arizona and we are in one of our rooms in front of this fantastic honor blanket that was a gift to me from an elder. It holds a myth, and myths kind of fit with what we're talking about. This is knowledge, and knowledge was stolen by a greedy king who put it in a box and was keeping it all for him. And Raven was having none of that, and Raven went and stole knowledge back for the people, and brought knowledge to forever be available for the people. And that's what this image signifies, and you can make of the myth what you wish. But this
I think it's a great acknowledgement too, if I may say, for the work Mary did with indigenous tribes in the Pacific Northwest. And this was one way that they say thank you very sincerely when someone does contribute to, the growth of knowledge. And so good for you, because it's not something that's given lightly.
And the well-being of the tribes and tribal sovereignty.
Yes.
Yeah, so that I do feel quite honored by that. And my elder who I taught with, Roy Samsel, Wyandot and Choctaw, who's no longer alive, but sure lives in my heart. We spent 7 years teaching together, and he and his wife Marilyn are the ones who gave this to me. So there's that story. And it fits with our kind of focus for this month. We're really being captivated by what we're calling, and others call, cosmic ecology.
Cosmic ecology. It really just goes out beyond as far as you can imagine. And this is very interesting to a lot of scientists even right now, who are looking for the ways that our life on Earth actually does depend on things we never would have imagined. Intergalactic sort of beams from way outside our universe come in, and now they are finding that those alter the chemistry in our atmosphere and even contribute to low-lying cloud formation. Of course, the geomagnetic storms that come from the sun. So once again, we're always preaching interdependence and relationship, and this is just a fabulously big example of that.
It's on a massive scale, and what's happening, this is kind of shaking up physics. Some are saying, this might be bigger than the Copernicus thing, because we are being asked, or the evidence is pointing to a necessity of our changing our story of where the universe came from. And there is even evidence that there are many universes. So this gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But looking just at our universe, which holds untold numbers of galaxies, ours being one of them. And in that galaxy there are many, many solar systems, ours being one of them, that has the 9 planets that we count, and then the asteroid belt and the Kuiper belt, I think, out beyond that. So there are many, many entities moving around our star, the sun, and we are one of those entities. And then here we are, 2 of 8 billion plus people on the planet, and considerably more beings when you consider the grasses and the fish and the flyers and the four-leggeds, and on and on and on. So this is the context of ecology. And what's happening in this study of cosmology is that there's evidence that the origin of our universe was not random. It was not just this mechanistic weirdness, this chance thing that happened in a Big Bang. Some are saying that it was really quite more like a big breath, and that breath continues, and that it appears consistently and more that there is actually consciousness at the center of this. this really is a different way of conceptualizing who we are.
Yeah, there is a, there is a self-organizing principle that operates with many life forms on Earth. And there appears to be self-organizing principles that are also operational and not unrelated out in space with the bigger universe. And so tying that together is part of cosmic ecology. And I'm glad you mentioned consciousness, because yeah, that is at the very cutting edge of any conversation about cosmic ecology, and there's not a lot of knowledge yet. So few scientists want to talk on tape about it.
And yet, so many our truest, I would say, our most dedicated scientists are in the materialistic fields of you start with physics, and then you have chemistry supporting physics, and you have biology, or you have them, maybe physics as the foundation, and then chemistry, and then biology, and then ecology, and then psychology, and so on. But those scientists, the scientists in what we consider the hard science, continue to have their minds blown when they get to the edges of what they can know. So Evelyn Fox Keller wrote a book, The Century of the Gene, where she looks at just the work that the biologists were doing to try to discover the missing link. And what she describes, or the way that I understood it, is that, for example, they would see that RNA tells DNA what to do. Okay, that's cool. And then they look a little deeper and they go, oh, wait a minute, RNA is not very smart. Look, there are these tiny things that are coming in and telling RNA what it needs to know. And then RNA can tell DNA. And so then they looked at the tiny little things, and when they got up really close to the tiny little things, it went, whoosh, and it was empty. And the same thing with quantum physics over and over again. And Carl Sagan was wonderful in his enthusiasm about this. You get to the edge of the knowledge in physics, and you look really closely, and whoosh, the universe opens up. And so this kind of willingness to not know, and over to come to the edge to what is really going on and the limits of your own knowledge, that's really what this construction on cosmic ecology is asking us to get more comfortable with.
Yeah, I think the best scientists are really comfortable, in fact, much more concerned with not finding answers as much as they are coming up with the questions and living the questions. I'm glad you mentioned genes, because in the 90s there was this thought, and this is such classic sort of Cartesian science during the Enlightenment, that everything's individual pieces and parts, and this does this, and everything is kind of connected in a way that we can just literally see if you have the right equipment. They said that, well, this one gene must create the behavior for this, or must create this kind of preponderance of disease. And in fact, they thought that at the time, many gene researchers said, all we have to do is take out this one gene if you've got a disease gene, and replace it with a healthy one, and you'll be fine. Mm. But what they didn't recognize, and now we absolutely do, is the environment, the context of where that gene is. The environment and the relationship that gene has with everything around it is what will determine whether or not it expresses perhaps a tendency for that disease. So it's much more complicated and much more relational, as it always is.
And this is really part of what the new understandings from cosmology those new understandings are opening up for us. It's not so much that we really aren't separate, and we don't have different value. We don't have any different value than the leaves or the branches or the trees themselves out there, the blades of grass, the bits of soil. Everything is involved in this original consciousness and its expression. You've been talking about the Pueblo recently, and about the fundamental orientation orientations of the Pueblo.
Yeah, I've been spending some time in Pueblo culture related to a book on the disappearance of the Ponderosa in the Southwest. And the Pueblo culture tends to be oriented across the different Pueblo tribes toward a view of the world that it's always, always in transformation and recreation and reinvention. It never stops. It's a never-ending story, basically. Mm. And that energy is, in fact, coming from what appear to us to be polar opposites, light and dark, cold and hot, and all that. But in the larger sense, those opposites give energy to life. And they say their task is to find a way to locate the continuity, what stays the same amidst all that change. And so their past, let's say if they're thinking of their ancestors 500 years ago, that really isn't a past the way we think of it, over and done. That past still lives in them, and it lives in them through this notion of continuity. And I like that very much, so I've been turning that over in my head quite a bit lately.
And so the continuity that the cosmologists are offering is this, when recast as an initial big breath, then it's something that continues right now, up to now, that breath, and through us continuing. And so there's that would be a point of profound continuity. I think it's not that as difficult for people, especially people who have been marginalized by any culture, because you know that the main story is flawed and limited and way too rigid. And so that's part of what's being invited forward, is really this surrender, this profound surrender of all the things we think we know we can control, things we think we know make the world work, things we think we know that are absolutes about the physical structures of things. We'll just go to physics. And surrender all of that and be in this flawless unfolding, this holy logic of the universe unfolding to itself. This is just my best understanding. I can't claim to be a cosmologist, but I can say I'm pretty fascinated. And so the thing that I wanted to mention was that it appears that what happened, this big breath, was the coalescing and presence of clouds in the universe that started expanding. And at first, there is even this sense that there wasn't anything very material, that it was, in fact, sound, which is kind of intriguing given how many of our myths are grounded in the beginning was, in the word, was sound, the Om. And so, that's more will be revealed. But a billion years or so later, here come hydrogen atoms. Those hydrogen atoms live in you, in me, in you, right now. And so we're talking 13.8 billion years ago. And not a random unfolding, but a purposeful, logical, systematic unfolding that led to more and more and more complexity and specialization, to where we're able to have this conversation today with you, with this technology.
Something you were saying earlier as far as putting down our stories, it's a difficult thing to do. First of all, we have to know what our stories are, because I think so many of them we were given as kids and we've never questioned them. That's the water we swim in, and we had no sense that there's any other reality than that. But if we can get out of that once in a while, what a fantastic way to live. I mean, if we could go outside and sort of have what Zen refers to as beginner's mind, where we're just looking at everything anew and fresh, wow, I think that would be extremely good for our mental health.
Well, you know, and in full ecology, we have these 4 different orientations, and the first one is to stop, just stop. And the second one is to ask. Well, in the way that I was conditioned, you know, because I was really good at school, was that you ask and you kind of demonstrate to the grown-ups that you know stuff by the questions you ask, and then you make yourself available as a vessel for their smartness to come into you so you too will be smart. This is not how it works. We are learning as we spend more time with really what feels to us like the gift of the full ecology ideas in the natural world. We're seeing that that ask moment is opening, like you're saying, opening to what does the natural world, what does consciousness, what does existence have to teach us right now? What's the information that's coming in that can be of help right now? It's not what can I control or what can I learn that will make it so I can control stuff. It's not that. So it is a huge surrendering.
Yeah. If you do surrender the materialist view that consciousness is all manufactured by the neurons firing in my brain, and that's how we're going to understand consciousness. If somebody comes along and suggests that, well, maybe consciousness, like Carl Jung, is collective among humanity, maybe consciousness is even cosmological, as we're talking about today, that just gets really messy. Everything you thought you knew, the rug gets sort of pulled out from you. And it would be helpful to be comfortable in having the rug pulled out from us. And this is back to the Pueblo. Everything is changing, it's transforming, and it's being recreated in ways that may or may not be familiar to their people when it happens.
But and everything's connected.
Everything is connected. That is the fundamental thing that holds all of their beliefs. Yes.
Yeah, and so I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take a break because I had a really important thought.
Okay.
And it's gone. Okay. And so I'll do it again. And so also in full ecology, we developed this idea of being right-sized. And we took the idea from friends of ours who are in recovery, the recovery community, which it's just really compelling. What does it mean to be right-sized in a life? And so people who are recovering from substance addictions have found this very helpful. So we're thinking of ourselves as pretty much, as humans, addicted to the notion that we're separate from each other and separate from the natural world. Well, all of this, and of course the Pueblo understandings, were not subject to that. And so all of this cosmological understanding is inviting us back into understanding that our right size is both very small and unbelievably small and insignificant. And this is the hard part, completely significant. Because here we are, like that blade of grass, like that bud on the cherry tree, like that breeze through the air. Here we are, and this is our contribution. We are consciousness itself unfolding to itself. Don't believe me, but check it out.
Yeah, and we often ask the question, do you end at the edge of your skin? And that's a great one to just put in your head this month and think about. I mean, your hormone levels like melatonin and whatnot are being set by the sun. You've got microbes that came to live with you after you were born. They're not human, and without them, in fact, there are more cells of those than there are human cells, but without them, you would not be able to process the food you ate, on and on and on it goes. And so this relationality is so fundamental, and I think it helps serve the right size notion.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't have to say humans are the best, the smartest. You don't have to say grizzly bears are the best and they're more important than the ground squirrels. It really doesn't work that way. In fact, it's the little organisms in the soil that you don't even see that probably, if we want to pick a most important,
the microbes.
The microbes, the mycelium that help plants survive. 90-some% of plants on Earth wouldn't be here without it. So yeah, it's an invitation to be humble just by looking at the facts. This is the reality.
So this you can see how fascinated we are about this cosmic ecology, the possibilities of that, for helping us get even deeper in our understanding of who we are and what's really going on here. I mean, there have been astounding people like Angela Davis speaking politically, and spiritual leaders speaking in this turmoil of everything that's going on around us in this country. And they say, make sure you remember there is so much more going on than what's happening inside the Beltway. And so this is where investigation of our stories is important, because as it turns out, pay really good attention this month to the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what's going on, because that's what your life serves. So we're just inviting you to consider this in a cosmological scale with us this month as well. And we're going to go into a deeper dive on this we're the third Tuesday this month, the 18th of March at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. If you're not on our newsletter, please go to www.fullecology.com and scroll to the bottom of that homepage and you can subscribe. We will be letting you know about the deep dive. They're wonderful conversations and they're free, and we look forward to seeing you there.
And there is still a little time left if you're interested in one of our 2 retreats this summer in June and perhaps early July.
The 29th through the 3rd.
Okay. And
29th of June through the 3rd.
These are, again, in the Centennial Valley, which is truly one of the most magnificent, beautiful, wildlife-rich areas in North America. In the Full Ecology retreat, we will be talking about these very things, but on our second retreat, which is for writers, we're going to be talking about how this applies to helping you clarify what it is in these times of turmoil you really want to say, what you want to contribute, what your gift is to move things forward. And it comes from learning the craft, and we'll certainly spend a lot of time on craft, but it also comes from looking at how we perceive the world. So we'll be doing a lot of that.
Yeah, in both retreats, we really are focusing on building our skills for surrender and listening to the natural world. So stop is just surrender. Let go of everything. And ask is then from the stopped place.
That stop seems very appealing right now.
Doesn't it?
It does.
Well, and we always, no one can take that away from you. Don't believe me? Check it out for yourself. No one can take that away from you. None of this can be taken away. So this is, because it is. No one can take all of the unfolding that we are pointing to and that the cosmologists are pointing to away from us. So we'll be doing the solstice retreat, kind of anchored in meditation and certainly in the 4 orientations of full ecology: stop, ask, act, and inspire. And then the writing retreat, as Gary described, all of it is for really grounding our beautiful hearts so that we can be of presence and of repair instead of destruction and despair and spin. So don't give your life to that fear and fury. Come and stand on the ground with us.
Yes, I'm ready. You're ready.
Yeah, we are ready.
So thanks for joining us again. We greatly appreciate all of you. It helps us stay grounded and us stay relational and connected to the things that inspire us by you being here.
Yeah, and we do invite you to be in touch with us at connect@fullecology.com. And yes, Gary's saying we're just very grateful, and together we see it through. We're doing this together. Okay.
Take care.
We'll see you next time. Bye for now.